but we're a little bit confused. And they're doing this weird numbers maths thing that they did last year. That is very confusing. And did anybody else's stream cut out or just mine?
No, mine's paused as well.
Oh, mine's still working.
Okay,
mine's back.
Mine is not. Okay, I'm relying on you guys to tell me what happens.
That's fine. So they seem to be announcing the winner now.
Yeah.
Straight after a recap. Okay. So Sarah O'Halloran, we will know probably within the next minute or two who has won.
Saba has won.
The whole thing?
Yeah.
Yes, she has.
Ooh.
Yeah.
With 37 points.
Yes. Okay, well, we have a winner. It is Saba with her song Sand. That makes me very happy because it was my favorite from DMGP tonight. I can see Sarah and Fred, you look very happy as well. What are your thoughts on Sand as Denmark's Eurovision entry?
Great song.
Well, I'm very happy with the results. It was the most professional of the evening. It was that next level that we're expecting sort of for Eurovision. It's what I wanted to see last night in Germany. It's it's that little bit more professionalism. I think I mentioned to you earlier. It had that sort of LOREEN sort of vibes. It has that sort of sound to it that gives it that more commercial awareness, and it makes it feel I guess it's a bit current, even though it is possibly sort of sampled.
Yeah. Sarah, what are your thoughts on Denmark's choice?
I think they made a really good choice. I think they will go to the final with this, and I think it will do great at Eurovision. I am wondering what the performance will look like on stage. But yeah, no, great choice.
Yeah, for me, I agree with both of you. I think this was the most competitive song and the best package overall on stage for tonight. But for Eurovision, I really want to see more happening on stage, maybe some dancers, some backing vocalists, whatever that may be. But otherwise, I think they've got a very good song. And do you think this is going to get Denmark back in the final? Because I am saying yes to that.
Yeah, they should qualify fairly easily with this. Yes, 100%. They need to step up the game if they're just going to go with a black stage with loads of lights. So it needs that sort of next level up. Obviously, the Eurovision stage is going to be much bigger than what we've seen this evening. So they're going to need to be able to fill that space and make it sort of come out across the entire arena.
Yeah, so I can see lots of guys in the chat questioning who won, asking who won. We can confirm, yes, it was Saba who won with the song Sand. She is Denmark's Eurovision 2024 entrant, Saba, and the song Sand. Guys in the live chat, let us know what you think of Sand and Saba. Let us know what you think of tonight's show. And speaking of the show, it was definitely a very well-produced show, as we have seen from Denmark before. Seemed very high quality, very professional almost. What, Sarah, did you think of the overall production of the show?
I think they did a really good job. It was a long show.
Yes.
I feel like there was a lot of talking, and I don't understand the language, and there weren't any subtitles. So most of the time I was like, what am I looking at? What am I listening to? But the production was really good. They did a good job.
Yeah, 100%. Fred, what were you thinking when you were watching the show?
Yeah, I mean, the Dance Melody Grand Prix, because they don't have semi-finals in the sort of same way, they tend to put all of their efforts into the final. So I think it came across really well. The it doesn't look like it was just done for a television production. It just it actually looked like the audience there were really into it as well. You can see that there's very obviously a Eurovision crowd there,
Yeah.
and they're very much a part of it. So I mean, it goes along with the spirit of the contest, and really sort of bringing the fans in and, you know, giving them that big hug.
Yeah, 100% agree with both of you. And let's go to the live chat to see what you're saying. Yes, Manga, you think this was the best choice. We definitely agree. Alicia the Regal, you're saying the superstition is true of MALMÖ host Denmark as well. Well, of course, you know, last time MALMÖ hosted, it was very successful for Denmark, and obviously they won that year. Even though we only know roughly half the songs for this year's contest, do you think Saba could become a potential Eurovision winner, maybe, at this early stage? Or do you think it's too early to tell?
Yeah, it's a tough question for right now.
It is. It's difficult to say. I mean, it should do well, but
Yes.
comparing it against, you know, other entries is going to be, because there's so much more to find out with. So it's gonna be difficult to see where it falls
Yeah.
within the aspect of against the other entries.
Yeah, definitely, I agree. And we have Olympic Song Contest saying no. Okay, well, that's me told. But of course, well, there we go. We have an answer. But of course, we had two other super finalists performing alongside Saba. The first of which was the 2014 Danish entrant Bazim with his song Johnny. Now, this very much reminded me of Heroes by Mons, I think because of the staging. Sarah, what were your thoughts on Bazim's entry?
I really liked it. It was
Mhm.
happy, and it made me happy. I don't know. Yeah, he did great. He did great. His voice was very good. I liked it. I can
Yeah,
see why
Fred.
it was a finalist.
Yeah. Are you in agreement, Fred?
Yeah, I mean, it's his charismatic performing nature that sort
Mhm.
of encapsulates the audience, and people sort of just like that. But 100%, as I mentioned before, there was LOREEN vibes to Sand.
Yeah.
There was definitely the Mons vibes to Basim. So maybe they're doing well because they're having that Swedish feel. Who knows? But the
Potentially.
the yeah, I mean the aspect. I mean, I would say it's not one of his strongest songs, but the performance I thought was very good. Listening to the studio version versus seeing it on stage, I felt was very different. I don't know
Yes.
if you felt the same, but I felt it worked much better on stage than it does in the studio version.
I mean, I think I would probably say that's the same for all of the acts we saw tonight. They just seemed to be totally different to how I remember them being listening to the studio version. So I think they definitely all came alive on stage tonight. And yeah, as Sarah said, Bazim was just bringing the happiness, the happy vibes to the show tonight. And I can totally see how he made the super final. And then the third super finalist we had, maybe a bit of an entry that some people were not necessarily thinking would make the super final, was Janus Weiberg. Were you expecting this to make the super final? Sarah, come to you first.
It wasn't totally unexpected,
Mm-hmm.
but for me it was like 50-50. Like I don't. He could just make it or just
Yeah,
not. You know. So it wasn't totally unexpected, but it wasn't like, oh yeah, obviously he's going
yeah,
to the super final.
of course. And I've seen a lot of people saying this had a very Danish sound to it. Do you think, Fred, maybe that's what kind of possessed the public and the juries to put it through? Because it appealed to them more
Potentially,
than.
we're seeing quite a lot of the singer-songwriter styles,
Yeah,
very much from the obviously the winner last night in Germany. Again has that James Newman or Michael Rice sort of feel.
yeah,
So it's nothing new. Uh, don't get me wrong there, but he had a good voice, and compared to some of the other artists this evening, I think there were some vocal issues on a couple of them. So I think he stood out as a very good singer.
Yeah, 100%. Probably one of the best vocal performances we saw tonight, I would say. But guys, let us know in the live chat, what are your thoughts on the 3 super finalists from DMGP tonight? Do you agree with the juries and the public? Do you think somebody else should have made it? Let us know in the comments what you think. We have Mr. System 96. Hello to you. Welcome back. We also had many other shows tonight. So FF, you're Dutch, and you think 5 minutes will be direct competition for Joust. But go Estonia, you're happy. And you didn't watch it? Okay, well, luckily you have us to guide us through it. Now, of course, there were 5 other acts performing tonight in the Danish national final. Maybe let's go through some of them here, because the second act that we saw tonight was Stella with her song Sign here. Fred, I'm going to come to you first. I had this as a potential super finalist. What were your thoughts on this?
I mean, it again, like much of the studio versions, it was very different seeing it performed live versus the studio. But she gave it some welly, and you could see that she was buying into the song and she was really performing it. She was slightly older than when you listen to the studio version. I didn't picture her in mind as the singer, for instance, but it had that sort of slightly rockier sort of vibe. But I thought it was performed very well.
Yeah, Sarah, were you a fan of Stella's song?
Yeah, I really like that song, and I think she did a really good performance. I think her voice was good, and she looked very at ease on the stage.
Yes.
Like, this is where I belong. That was the feeling I was getting from her, and I really liked it. I was actually expecting her maybe as a super finalist as well.
Yeah, me too. But, you know, overall, she gave a great performance and something that she can be very proud of. Now, let's go back to the live chat. Bubble Pirate, you're saying Denmark don't qualify when you take a look at the betting odds. Well, take the betting odds with a pinch of salt, I would say. It is very early days, of course. Alicia, you're saying everyone is happy about Sabra on Twitter. She did seem to be one of the big favorites among the Eurovision fandom, so there's obviously going to be a lot of happy people tonight. But let's move on to some of the other acts tonight. We had a very interesting staging from Choo Choo, who sang her song The Chase, Zoom Zoom. Not the most confusing staging we saw tonight, but definitely very memorable. Fred, you're smiling, you're laughing.
Yeah,
what have you got to say?
It was a bit bizarre. It was just one of those like, what am I watching here type aspects. But it looks like they were trying to take slices of lots of different things and put it together and hope that it would work. There's a slight element of K-pop to it in that sort of anime sort of style, but it also had a very 90s Europop sort of feel to it. She was not one of the strongest vocalists of the evening, and you put it all together and you ended up with that package, and it made me smile.
Well, that's a bonus.
But yes, absolutely. But I knew it wasn't going to go anywhere. But you know, it's always sometimes even the less I'm trying to be nice about this. The less good acts can make you smile in the same sort of way, because they're just slightly bonkers and bananas, and this was one of those.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes bonkers and bananas can be good, and even if it doesn't do very well results-wise, it definitely gives the audience something to be happy about and maybe will brighten up their evening. But what were your thoughts watching this one, Sarah?
I got overstimulated. There was so much going on. There was so much going on, and the song isn't my cup of tea. So that's why maybe I was overstimulated because I was like paying attention to everything happening on that stage because I wasn't really listening to the song too much.
Yeah.
Not for me.
Yeah, I mean, I think, sometimes the saying less is more can really work wonders. And I think this would have worked well for this, but at least it got us talking about this in a positive light. So I guess, there's that aspect of it. But guys in the live chat, were you a fan of The Chase, Zoom Zoom? Or were you just as confused as we are? But speaking of confusion and mismatched stagings, the last performer of the evening was Aura Dion with Mirror Ball of Hope. And we had a mermaid, guys, a Danish mermaid on a mirror ball playing a guitar, as you do. I genuinely don't know what to say about this other than stating those facts. I'm not sure it worked.
I think they were just trying to go for the pride element and trying to go with something as gay and Danish as possible, because obviously the Little Mermaid is very well known from Copenhagen. So it's so it's their most famous statue. So I think there's an element of that, but yeah, it again you try and take some local history, throw in some gay glitter and some half naked dancers, and you call it a Eurovision entry. So it's just she tried, bless her, but it wasn't my cup of tea.
Was it your cup of tea, Sarah?
Again, overstimulated. Too much happening. When I saw the ended glitter dress and the mirror ball, I was like, no, this is too much. I can't handle this. I was feeling like we had, I'm from the Netherlands, and we had Carnival last week, which is like a party where confetti and glitters everywhere. I was feeling like I was back at Carnival.
Yeah, it was definitely very eye-catching, that's for sure. But I would love to be like in the person's mind who came up with this concept, like when they just thought, we're going to do this, and then we're going to add this and add this. It would be an interesting meeting to be attending. But hey, she closed the show and
yeah, I think it was just some edibles and some other bits thrown in.
quite possibly. But I mean, it was a fun, entertaining way to end the night. So, we can't complain with that. Let's go back to the chat. There's not too many comments there. But Bubble Pirate, you're saying you'd love to have Aqua back for Denmark next year. Okay. Maybe about 20 years too late for them, possibly, but at least they would be entertaining.
Funny enough, I saw Aqua in London last year, so they're still performing.
Okay.
They're still performing.
Yeah. So
were they good?
Yeah, it was just good. They did a 90s night at the O2.
Oh, nice.
So it was Aqua, Venga Boys, and Cut and I Joe, Rednecks.
That sounds so fun.
Yeah, so it was a very gay 90s night, but yeah, it was good fun.
Cool. Okay, well, according to Fred, Aqua still have it, so DR, for watching this, listen to Fred. We have Neil Era saying another year juries decide in Denmark, right? So do we actually know what the split was between the juries and the televoters? Because there was both voting, wasn't there?
Yeah, I think we have it, but I don't know right now.
Yeah, I'm quickly trying to find out now because they do a very strange, random thing in Denmark.
Oh, yeah, wait, I have
it. And the bar moves and comes down.
They did them by bars basically across the screen.
Yeah.
I remember seeing 22, but I don't know who the 22 was for.
Yeah, those jury votes. That was the jury votes for Saba, 22.
Okay.
And she got 15 from the public.
Okay.
So actually, let me see. Saba was jury winner, but Bazim was public winner, televote winner.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
I mean, I guess that makes sense because Bazim, I think, is very popular still in Denmark and has a lot of hits. And his song was, I think, a very good song and a very good staging. Had a Danish feel to it, so I can see them going for that song. But at the same time, I have to say thank goodness for the juries that we got Saba in Eurovision. So going back to the live chat, we have Sanda. Okay, thank you for that comment. Great comment. But let's go back to the other finalists. We have Rosie Lou with the song Real Love. And I have to be honest, I can't remember much about this, which is not a good sign. But I feel like this one got a bit lost in the mix. Fred, I see you smiling.
Yeah, so this was the one with she was wearing one glove with a big costume ring. This is what reminded. This is the only thing I remember from it. But I just remember her, and because of the camera angle, it made her hand look gigantic, and she had these male dancers dancing around her. And again, unfortunately, she didn't have the best vocal on the night either. But yeah, that's unfortunately all I remember about the song. A very large glove.
Sarah, do you remember much more of this?
No, the song not memorable enough for me. The glove. I was like, is her head this big or what? What? And I don't know, how old is she? Because I thought she was looking very young. Do we know that?
I actually have no idea. Actually,
I thought she looked very young as well.
Yeah.
yeah, it did kind of remind me of Barbara Schronenberger, I think, from the German national final last night, who was wearing gloves, and all I could think of was Barbara in that performance. So maybe that's why I don't remember the song very much. But guys in the live chat, were you a fan of Rosie Lou's song "Real Love"? Let us know. Rebecca, you're saying that she was 17. Okay, that's quite young. B. James, you're saying she had a bad voice. I don't think her vocals were the strongest of the night, but they were still, decent, I would say. And then, of course, the final act to talk about is Oopaloo with Planetary Hearts, which was, I would say, futuristic, maybe. It was, I wasn't quite getting into it, I'll be honest. It was a bit strange and weird for my liking. But Sarah, what were your thoughts on this
I really
one?
liked it. I
Okay.
thought they looked really cool on stage. And I liked the little choreographed with the head and the shoulder. I really liked it. I enjoyed it.
Fred, you're nodding. Do you agree?
Yeah, it was I take your futuristic aspect of it. It reminded me of a sort of a gay rock type entry. I guess they were trying to be a bit Scissor Sisters, or something
Okay.
along those lines, with a slight glam rock feel. But it wasn't strong enough as a song to really make that sort of statement. But yeah, I was getting into it, and
Okay.
I enjoyed it. After Real Love, and the large glove, at least I remember more about the performance.
I
So,
mean,
yes.
potentially Oopaloo kind of overshadowed Rose Lee, potentially. I mean, it wasn't for me, sadly, this song, but it definitely did give me something to remember, and it did stick out in my mind, which is a positive, of course. And now we have Joanna. Welcome. You're saying that Rosalie's 22. Okay. Seems like
Oh,
it could
she's
be a bit of
aging.
a Riley situation where nobody knows how old he actually is, and everyone says a different thing. But either way, I think we can determine she was young anyway. Let's have a look. Bubble Pirate, you're saying Denmark 2024 will be Norway 2011, but you love Norway 2011. So that was Stella Mwangi, Haba Haba. Personally, I think this stands a better choice to qualify, even though we don't know most of the songs yet. And if I had to make a very early prediction at this point, I think Denmark will be in the final, 100%. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
I
agree.
definitely, I
Yeah.
think this is a change of their luck of recent. I think we've we were saying all evening that it felt that Denmark was heading down sort of this randomist sort of road, trying to really chuck everything they could potentially to see everyone represented, I guess, in their national final. So they had a little bit of this, a little bit of that, but nothing sort of really sort of stand out. So it was really great to see Sand kick off the show, and I was just like, wow, you know, I wasn't expecting it. It was just, it 100% stood out. So
yeah, and I think this year's Melody Grand Prix was quite diverse in comparison to other years, and there seemed to be a lot of different genres represented in the final, which I think made for probably one of the best DMGPs we've seen in a couple of years, actually. Do you think, do you believe in these kind of superstitions, like because it's MALMÖ, that they want to do well again? Or do you think they've just genuinely cracked it this year? Are you
it's a good
superstitious
question.
people?
I wouldn't say I'm necessarily superstitious, but when Sweden hosts, Denmark tends to do well.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's a proximity thing, or people thinking, oh, we can save money just by traveling over the bridge. Who knows? But yeah, it's the aspect of maybe they just take it a bit more seriously because it's closer to home, possibly. But yeah, it's just I guess when I think of Eurovision, I'm always having to think about traveling. Whereas, obviously, if you're in Copenhagen and having to travel to Malmö, that's 10 minutes down the road. So
exactly. There we go. Well said. But guys, I think we've pretty much spoken about pretty much everything we could speak about on the DMGP tonight. But just kind of to wrap it up, what are your final thoughts on the show tonight? The interval acts, the hosting, everything. If you had to sum it up in maybe just a quick sentence, how would you do that? Or is that too difficult?
No,
Professionalism.
much better quality. Happy to see Denmark, being represented by something that they could potentially be proud of.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Sarah?
that's exactly.
Yeah.
I agree. I have nothing more to add to that.
Yeah. Another stellar DMGP with a great winner. And I fingers crossed she's going to qualify in Malmö. I think she has a good chance. But thank you guys for joining tonight. And thank you guys in the live chat for all your comments. Stay tuned for more videos and articles and etc. on Eurovision, Junior Eurovision. Check out our website, TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. I think I've mentioned everything. And until next time, bye.
Bye.